Welcome back to my channel. My name's Tamika. This is Library of Tomes, where I talk to you about all the bookish things going on in my life. Hi, welcome back. I hope you're doing great. Today we are on day 6 of the 12 days of HEAs. We're sharing our most memorable reads of 2020. This does not have to be your favorite read. This does not have to be your most surprising read. This is literally just your most memorable read, the thing that you're going to think about when you think of 2020. And I try to go on a positive note for mine. So I'm going to let everyone go ahead and share their most memorable read of 2020, and then we're going to hop back over here and I'm going to tell you mine. You might be able to guess this one. We'll see.
Hi everyone, my name is Crystal from Crystal's Bookish Life, and I am super excited to help Tamika with her 12 days of HEA. I'm going to be talking about my most memorable read of 2020, and for me that is without a doubt The Raquesse by Scarlett Peckham. This is a dark historical romance that is proudly feminist, I would say. This is the story of Adam and Serafina, who meet sort of by chance on this island, and they have this very strong attraction to one another that turns into this sort of turbulent love affair where there's a forbidden element aspect to it too. Adam is a widow and he is a single father, and Serafina is spending her life writing her memoirs about what has happened to her in her past, how she was ruined, and how she came to be so passionate about moving forward women's rights and having women claim the life that they deserve alongside men. I love how this book handled, in particularly, the aspect of really trying to get what you want out of life, regardless of what society constructs say that you should have. It was really inspiring to me, and Adam was an absolutely delightful sweetheart, and their romance was so heartfelt and filled with longing, and this book left such an impact on me on how far women have come, and also still how far we have to go. But it was also just such a hopeful and inspiring read for me to really stand up for what's right, regardless of how difficult it might be. And also, Adam is one of my favorite heroes ever.
Hi guys, my name is Ezra from I Heart Romance, and I'm so happy to participate in Tamika's 12 Days of HEAs. Today I'm going to be talking about one of my memorable reads of 2020. And even though 2020 isn't over yet, one of the books that keep coming back to me is The Worst Best Man by Mia Sosa. This is an Own Voices Enemies to Lovers romance, and I thought it was so sweet. I listened to this book on audiobook and I absolutely love it. The narration was amazing. I loved hearing the Portuguese in this book, even though I'm not Portuguese. I just loved the diversity of it. So this book is about a wedding planner that actually gets left in the altar, and the main reason why she was left at the altar was because of the groom's brother. Now, years later, she is forced to audition to be one of the premier wedding planners of this hotel, like the contracted wedding planner for this hotel, and she has to work with the PR people who are handling this hotel's PR, and she has to work with the guy who was the cause of her failed wedding. Picture that. It's really great. The chemistry between Lena and Max is top notch. It is steamy. HEA is pretty great, and the representation is amazing. So I highly recommend this book.
Hey y'all, my name is Carrie and my channel is a Bookish Soaper. So whenever it comes to 2020, most of us have had a pretty rough year. But whenever it comes to my reading in 2020, I've had an amazing year. In fact, this year I have read more and more quality books than I have in years previous. So whenever it came to finding out which book was the most memorable for me, I had a really hard time. I wasn't able to narrow it down to just one book, but I was able to narrow it down to one series. This might be cheating a little bit, but oh well. And that is going to be Hard to Love by P. D'Angelico. If you are a slow burn fan, you are going to love her. Seriously. It starts out with Wrecking Ball. This is about Calvin and Camilla. Calvin is an NFL quarterback, and he is raising his nephew and is needing a new nanny. He's gone through several nannies in the past who have all quit within a very short amount of time because he is a bit grumpy and grouchy. The second book in the series is Sledgehammer. This is about Ethan and Amber. Amber is Camilla's best friend from the first book, and it is a really cute enemies to lovers romance where they're in close proximity. She has to live with him for a while, and it's kind of a hate to love situation that's going on. The third and last book in the series is Bulldozer, and this is about Grant and Amanda. Amanda is Calvin's sister from the first book, and it is a single mother's romance with this grumpy NFL guy who's hurt. It's another close proximity relationship, kind of like the second book was, where they're both living in the same house. He's trying to force her to move out by doing some really crazy antics, and she is a very strong female. She is very much so human. She has made some terrible mistakes. You know about her from the very first book, and in the very first book, she's pretty terrible. She has had an addiction. She has left her kid with somebody in the care of somebody else. I mean, she just wasn't a great human being, but she completely redeems herself. This is one of my very favorite books of this year. Cannot recommend the series enough.
Hi, this is Jen from the book Refuge, bringing you my most memorable book of 2020, and I choose The Bride by Julie Garwood. This is obviously one of my favorite reads from this year, one that I feel that I remember a lot of details about it and that I always want to recommend to people, whether they're looking for a historical romance or not. This is about a Lord Alec, who he is told by his king to pick a woman to marry from the daughters of this one lord, and he chooses the youngest daughter, Jamie, to bring her back with him and make her his bride. And this starts very antagonistic. She doesn't want to be married to him. She doesn't want to have feelings for him, but there's this inexplicable attraction between the two of them. It's so sexy. I just love it so much. And so there's that like hate to love bit. He brings her to his keep, and she just turns everything upside down. He's like, no, stay in this little box that I put you in. You're not in control. You're not in charge. But his entire keep falls in love with her. All of his people love her. She is also a healer. She has talents in that way. And she surprisingly saves a couple of people in a pretty interesting way using some techniques that they'd never seen before. There is kind of an interesting mystery plot happening behind the scenes. Alec is known for having killed his first wife, is suspected by everyone. Also there is like a mystery with that aspect, but the chemistry between these two is amazing. The family aspect, this found family that she finds, not just found family because she's marrying into it, just the love between everyone. And then I love that kind of like acerbic hero who is like, I am determined to love you, and I will be able to share, we'll share our bodies with each other, but never our hearts. And watching that slowly, like, they kick and drag their feet into this relationship, but then it becomes so satisfying when it finally clicks into place for them. So this is my most memorable read of 2020, The Bride by Julie Garwood.
Hi guys, my name is Reagan and I'm from the channel Rea Rea Reads, and I'm going to be telling you guys my most memorable book of 2020, and it has to be Inked in Lies by Gianna Darling. This is the fourth book in the Fallen Men series. This is a motorcycle club romance series set in Canada, and it is so good. If you have not read this series, please do. It's amazing. I waited so long to pick up Inked in Lies. I don't remember when this came out, but I know it came out in 2020, I'm pretty sure. And I regret waiting so long to pick it up because I actually read it pretty recently, and it was so good. This book is absolutely amazing. Nova is my new favorite out of all of them. I used to love the second book the most, but this one has definitely taken the cake since then. This book is just so beautifully written, and I think Gianna has refined her craft as she's continued to write the books in the series. They just get better and better as the series keeps going. But this book is about a girl named Lila who grows up in a really bad family situation. Her dad is like a drug lord in the area that she lives in, and
and she has an older brother who's like maybe 8 or 9 years older than her, and he kind of like raises her, and she just grows up in such a bad environment. And across the street she gets new neighbors when she's like 6 or 7, and one of them is a 16 or 17-year-old boy named Nova. He is one of like 4 sons in the family, and basically that family becomes her safe haven. Nova, the boy she befriends that moves in across the street, actually saves her from a really horrible accident that happens at her house pretty early on in the book, and they just grow really, really close and become best friends. And years pass and so many things happen, and eventually he ends up joining the motorcycle club, the Fallen Saints, which is what this series is about, and it's kind of just their journey together. Lila is absolutely in love with Nova, has been since she was a child, and it's such a sweet, heartwarming series, and this book specifically was so memorable to me. One thing that I loved about this book is the emphasis on tattoos and the meaning that they bring. I absolutely love tattoos. I only have one, but I would have a million more if I had the money. But Lila talks about how important all of the tattoos on her body are, because Nova is the one who actually gives them to her, and she just loves him and she loves the artwork, and she also loves the meaning behind each tattoo he gives her, and that's just something that really stuck with me. And the writing is just so flowery and beautiful, and the way that Gianna talks about tattoos and inking your body is so beautiful, and I just absolutely adored that aspect of this book. So if that interests you, or it just looks like a good book, you should definitely pick it up. I highly recommend. It was amazing.
So I had to pick this one for my most memorable. It's Whispers in the Dark by Letitia Newton. This book, let me go ahead and just be frank about it, is wild. It is wild. This book has so many trigger warnings. We read this for the Taboo Book Club in October. This is a captive romance, a serial killer romance. This book has so many things in it, and this will definitely be one of my most memorable reads because it was so wild. It was so out there. It was so over the top, and I loved every minute of it. So I could have picked a lot for my most memorable reads of 2020, but I wanted to go positively most memorable, positively the most wild, positively like the positive of all of it. So this book follows our heroine, who was kidnapped when she is 18 years old. I think she just turns 18, and her kidnapper is horrible to her, and he kidnaps all of these women, and he's trying to train his son to also follow in his footsteps and carry on the family tradition of kidnapping women and making them their toys. So it is so interesting because we follow this girl who is in captivity, and the son is falling in love with her because originally she was supposed to be for the son, but the son showed too much emotional investment, and the father was like, absolutely not, you're not getting her, you're not ready. So he takes her for himself. And this story is them going against the dad, and then them years later when the son takes the girl captive again. So this is absolutely insane. This story has so many triggers, and I'm gonna go over them just really, really quickly so that you know what's in here. There's sodomy, there's rape, and when I say there's sodomy to a woman and sodomy to a man. There's also miscarriage, there is murder, there is so much violence, a lot of gore, like body horror. So yeah, if those things trigger you in any way, just remember that going into the story. This is one of the darkest books that I have ever read, and I loved every minute of it. It is absolutely a train wreck that you can't look away from, but in the best way. I have read some books that were train wrecks in the worst way, but this one is in the best way, and I absolutely loved the story. This is hard to read at times. If you like horror movies or anything like that, I really, really recommend this. I really love this book, and it felt like a horror movie with a happily ever after, and that was beautiful, and I loved it. All right, those are all of the most memorable books that the Romance Booktubers had to share, and also mine. So I hope that you all have enjoyed the first half of the series. Let me know. I hope that you all are enjoying it. I'm obviously pre-filming these, so I don't know how you're doing so far, but I hope you're enjoying it. All of the links to the books and the Romance Booktubers are linked in the description. So I will see you all tomorrow with day 7 in the 12 days of HEAs.